interesting too, because a few of the things you were speaking to, like isolation, I was thinking about that I learned so much about myself through this grief process, and that now I would say that I spend way more time by myself than I ever did before. And in a way, people will perceive that as isolation, like, oh, Whitney, you should get out more. But for me, it was this revelation that I used to think I was this extrovert and loved to be social and around people all the time. And now I've recognized how much energy that was actually taking for me to do that all the time. And that I really don't enjoy, depleting myself in that manner. I don't know that I'm an introvert, but I've just come to appreciate that I can be with myself, and that's okay. And that's been a big change for me, socially, that there's just not this. When I was younger, there was this push, and also life shifts and changes, but I was like, oh, what's a happy hour I can go to and like meet up with all my friends? Or what's the mixer I can make it out to? And where can I go meet people and socialize? And, and now I'm divorced and single, and there's that propensity again where people are like, oh, but you need to be getting out and meeting people and like doing stuff and going places. And a lot of times, there are things I do want to do, but there's a lot of things that I used to like to do that I just don't hold any interest for me anymore. And I wouldn't say that that's unhealthy. If anything, from my perspective, I've gotten a lot healthier. My overall contentment in life is more so, even though some of those activities that I used to like, I don't do anymore.
Right. So it's almost like you learned how to get more comfortable in your own skin with who I am and what I'm comfortable with, which I think is very different from withdrawing entirely, right?
Yeah.
And not really knowing, is this the right place for me to be, or am I just like trying to not be around anybody?
Yeah.
For whatever
exactly.
reason. So there's a difference, I think, in that, and you got to that because of some of the work that you did on yourself. So you got to a better place of understanding about what is right for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And understanding it so deeply that I'm not swayed in my perception of that when somebody tells me like, wow, and you really stay home a lot. Like, are you sure that's healthy? Right. And I'm confident with like, it's healthy for me. Like that it's, what I need to be doing and how I like to be. And that's okay. And also, another piece of the evolution was letting go of a lot of relationships that didn't serve me anymore, and sometimes not even because the people were mean or awful or horrible, but it was just all this stuff that was like taking up space, kind of like hoarding. Like, oh, this is nice and shiny. I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to keep this. And there was no depth to it. There was no, I wasn't getting anything ultimately out of it. And it was okay to put that down and let it go. And then in other cases, there were relationships that were just purely unhealthy. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I can't put any more energy into hoping that it's going to change. Like, just recognizing it for what it is. And I wish you the best, and I'm going to go do my thing. So that speaks to, therapy can be a really great place to learn to gain a better sense of your own self-worth, to become more comfortable with who you are, and then also how to set boundaries around other people that are appropriate, right? In really kind ways. Yeah. It's funny because before, when I would hear, oh, you need to set boundaries, like, it just always envisioned to me like, oh, you put up this wall that blocks off like the horrible people, right? Like oh, you're toxic, I need a boundary, you can't pass anymore. And that's not, now I have a much more nuanced version of what boundaries means. And you're right, it doesn't always have to be, I cut you off and I never speak to you again. Right. It's just a different, and sometimes it's the boundaries, for me, sometimes it's the boundaries I set with myself. Like, don't let myself get sucked into, oh, but Whitney, you really should, it was just so nice of them to invite you. You really should show up. You really should make yourself go, even though you don't feel like it. Like, no, I set this boundary now. Like if I don't feel like it, I don't do it. So
Right. Absolutely. It's like after, you know, losing a child and you keep getting invited to baby showers or something like that, and being able to say, and having somebody tell you, you know what, it's okay to not go, or it's okay to go, and make sure you drove yourself and leave when when you start to get uncomfortable.